I bring word from Mario. He came to me in a dream. He has found the essence of the Queen of the Aishi, but something is off. It is like something is blocking her from communicating in his dreams. Some outside force that we do not understand. I think this force is tied to our transmissions. Hiding from something? But what? What is chasing our friend through time, space, and alternate universes? We're so close now. Just 2 areas left that Mario called out as weak points. So far, all of our transmissions are coming through these spots. But we do not know if they are an echo from the past, the present, or perhaps the future. Until we can decipher the origin, finding out who is sending us messages and what the key is, it will be difficult. Perhaps fantasy football can help answer us. I suspect some of you are doing better than others when hosting in your dreams. Clearly, this must be tied to the weaknesses in the void. I will analyze all the information and let you know who ranks where. I think there is an energy that leads to more wins when you're tied to the different places and times. The top teams will need to help me investigate the area more. Mario will need all of this data to help us escape. Until then, it is time for another transmission. Let's all listen and gather intel.
Miami, 2935. The Great War between Disney and the Scientologists somehow missed Miami. This neutral city thrived and became the nightclub capital of the world. It also became a trade hub and a state. The rest of Florida was sold to a tobacco billionaire who wanted to turn the flooded areas into timeshares. What is this nonsense? Distractions. Don't understand the oddities of this land. Shiny glass buildings, climate-ravaged shores. Hurricanes that blow through every 3 years. Is this why I'm here? To understand the chaos and the darkness? Is the key just a philosophy? A mental state? A way to break free from the shadows? Wait. Why did I say shadows? It means something. I can't remember. How long have I been missing? It feels like weeks. No. Years. Perhaps lifetimes. These buildings blink at me. Everyone dancing and swaying, but something is wrong. There's no sound. Everyone moves. No. They're stuck. Stuck like you, Franklin. Like everyone. All lost in the void. Why can't I connect the dots? The clues seem to be there, yet I can't see them. I just float around hunted by a dark entity, looking for a key. Or maybe it's protecting the key. It's so hard to tell. Mind is foggy, still torn apart, stretched and scattered. Miami, 29-35. The Miami Dolphins became the Miami Humans in 25-50 when a group of people said Dolphins were taking their jobs and stealing their sports teams. The Humans win the World Football Championship for the first time this season. A 20-0 record despite all of the injuries. I wonder if the Dolphins are upset with the Humans now. This city is strange. So much destruction, a continued rebuild. Old neighborhoods underwater. The larger buildings on stilts. They lean in the intense wind. Only a matter of time before the storm is strong enough to take down the structures. That's what this is. A window into something that has or will happen. You must find the places, the spots to break through. But beware the nightclub owners here. They aren't who they seem. A darkness rests in their eyes. Franklin, I keep mentioning these strange facts. They come out of my mind. Involuntary. What do they mean? You must find out before it's too late. Before it all ends.
Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball, Lost in Dreamlands. Can you believe it? We are now in the last week of out-of-divisional play in the regular season. Just 4 weeks to go before the playoffs begin. So we're now starting to get into the true playoff race when every week could be the end of a team's run. For a few teams, the playoffs seem all but cemented. Divisional races are still tight, so we will have to see what happens this week and then break down all the clinching scenarios going into divisional play again. No one can clinch this week, but there are possibilities for a division champ to be declared as soon as next week. The playoff race officially includes 10 teams that are still in it, but a few are on the cusp and will most likely need to win at least 3 of the final 4 weeks to have a chance. Unfortunately, that leaves 2 squads on the cusp of elimination. Before the year started, this week was circled as a potential huge one for these 2 squads. But things have not gone to plan, and now this week could be the last one to save their seasons. Winning out is the only option for both, with one team automatically eliminated with a loss. That's right, the next Game of the Week
includes 3-7 defending champion Green Acres traveling to Miami 29-35 to take on 2-8 Air Jordan, the top-ranked preseason team with 4 third-round picks and the number 1 overall pick. Go figure. Based on how they've played, this one should be close, so it should be entertaining, and it could mean a chance to make a run to at least get a bye to the consolation semifinals as well. Green Acres is more of a chance to make an improbable run to the playoffs, but Air Jordan is pretty much done. A loss here makes it official, and Green Acres comes in with a 73.7% chance to win, and still needs a defense in the lineup. Russell Wilson versus Ron Rodgers or Bo Nix will be key for both teams, which have struggled to consistently score points this season. Green Acres looks to get Nico Collins back, so suddenly the lineup looks strong again. Puka Nacua will be another key wide receiver. Air Jordan has Tank Dell, Cortland Sutton, and Cedric Tillman, who all may be touchdown dependent this week. Running backs are also an interesting spot, as Green Acres has Ramondre Stevenson and Alexander Madison going up against touchdown-dependent backs in Audric Estime and Braylon Allen. Chris Boswell has a good matchup at kicker for Green Acres. Cameron Dicker has an okay matchup for Air Jordan. The Falcons' defense does have a good matchup, but it's not a lock. Green Acres will obviously need to pick up a defense. But there are 2 players that I'm watching in this one. For Green Acres, let's take a look at Christian McCaffrey, the first overall pick for Air Jordan that played for the first time all year last week. Oh, did I forget to mention that Green Acres traded for McCaffrey in week 3. McCaffrey didn't ease in last week either. He played 88% of the snaps and finished with 39 rushing yards and 68 receiving yards on 19 touches, including 6 catches. This shows he's not really, easing back into the full-time role. He looks primed to be one of the best backs in fantasy again with those touches, because he's just going to get more opportunities, especially in good matchups. McCaffrey finished with double-digit fantasy points in all but 1 game last season. He scored over 15 points 12 times, over 20 points 5 times, and also had weeks with 36 and 41 points respectively. That is the kind of production that could suddenly make Green Acres a team you don't want to face down the stretch. McCaffrey gets a Seattle defense this week as well. Last season, he had 26 and 15 points in the 2 games against the Seahawks. This season, Seattle is ranked 27th against running backs, which is 6th worst. They've allowed 123 yards per game on the ground and 31 yards through the air to running backs. They've allowed 8 rushing touchdowns as well to the position. If McCaffrey gets opportunities and scores, it will be very hard for Air Jordan to keep up. But if McCaffrey has any setbacks, gets limited in a way, he has been injured, Green Acres might be in a tougher battle than expected. For Air Jordan, I'm going to look at a tight end, actually. Wow, I'm looking at a tight end. Kyle Pitts. Pitts is a hype tight end year after year, and every single year he disappoints us. The Atlanta offense is just not that big into featuring him in the passing game, it seems. He has seen a little uptick, just a little, in targets, but nothing to get you that excited, especially since he isn't being targeted in the red zone often. Pitts has 34 catches, 485 yards, 3 scores this year, 91 yards, and 2 of those touchdowns came in 1 game, by the way. Pitts has had over 50 yards 6 times this season, though, which isn't bad for tight ends. He averages 14.3 yards per reception as well, so he is at least making big plays. The Broncos are in the middle of the league when it comes to defending tight ends. They've allowed 3 touchdowns and have allowed a team's tight ends to be targeted at least 8 times in a game, 5 times. Travis Kelce recently had 64 yards and a score on 8 catches last week. 2 other tight ends caught passes as well in that game. Brock Bowers had 8 catches for 97 yards and a score in Week 5 too. So will Pitts also be able to break through? With Denver being tough on running backs and quarterbacks and wide receivers, Kirk Cousins might be checking down to his running backs and tight ends all game if they want to move the ball against a stingy defense. More targets gives a chance for a big play. And that's what you got to hope for here. If Pitts reaches the end zone, that will at least keep Air Jordan alive, you'd think. He needs points and he needs touchdowns, and getting it from your tight end position is usually big. If Pitts once again disappoints, it's probably going to be another rough week for the preseason top-ranked team. And even though these matchups don't seem likely to be repeated in the playoffs, both of these teams probably aren't going to be making it. You know, these types of matchups are still intriguing this late. One, you know, these teams don't want to finish last, obviously, something no defending Green Bowl champion has ever done. Now, if we're just counting regular season, Meow Master in 2016 won the title, 2017 last in the regular season, but didn't finish last, won in the consolation playoffs. The second thing is that we get to see if either of these teams are going to be scary to face down the stretch. That could mess with other races if suddenly a team gets hot. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they might knock other teams out. 3, if either team wins a few, suddenly they get back into the tiebreaker scenarios. It can help or hurt teams depending on who beat who. So it will be fun to watch, and it does matter in the end, you know, at least theoretically at the moment. Now, of course, we have way better matchups standing-wise on the slate this week. Let's get to those in the best of the rest. Low-key Lebowski Thor host 8 and 2 pounders in Berlin 1929 this week. Lebowski Thor comes in with a 66.5% chance to win. Jalen Hurts has been a stud for the home team, and he may get a head-to-head here with pounders, putting Jaden Daniels in the lineup for now. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen don't have great matchups either, though, so who knows who pounders is going to play. Alvin Kamara and Chase Brown versus Breece Hall and James Cook is a big spot for pounders to flip the momentum, obviously. But DeAndre Hopkins and Tyreek Hill have better matchups for Lebowski Thor at wide receiver. The defense battle will be big too, with the Vikings D getting a weak Tennessee team. 4 and 60 overcomers host 6 and 4 more than conquerors in Toronto 22-35 in a huge battle for both teams. The overcomers desperately need a win to stay in the wild card race. More than conquerors desperately needs a win to stay ahead in the tight European Void Division title race. For now, More Than Conquerors has a 65% chance to win. Drake May versus CJ Stroud is obviously key. Derrick Henry will need to have a big game, but Joe Mixon is pretty good too. Aaron Jones will also need to do well, but David Montgomery and Kareem Hunt are goal line machines as well. Cooper Kupp versus Deebo Samuel, Drake London versus DK Metcalf, other huge spots. 5 and 5, the Clash at Demon Head host the 4 and 6 Elite Mother Tuckers in Barcelona 1992. This game is big for both teams' wildcard chances. The Clash at Demon Head also wants to stay in the European Void race. The Mother Tuckers currently have a 61.7% chance to win. Jordan Love versus Justin Herbert is big because Herbert has the better matchup. Devon Achane and Bijan Robinson versus Jonathan Taylor and Brian Robinson might be the ultimate key for either team. Garrett Wilson versus Devontae Adams is certainly interesting, being on the same team. And the Texans' defense versus the Pittsburgh defense should also actually loom large in this one. 5 and 5, the Stellar Bitches host 5 and 5 Minerva's Minions in Mexico City 1955. This one is another big one. Both teams want to stay ahead in the wildcard race. Both teams want to remain in their division title races. Dare I say, playoff atmosphere? At the moment, the Minions have an 83.4% chance to win. That is a ludicrous number, and I am having none of it. My human correction of the computers says it's probably more like a 57% chance to win for the Minions. Why? Because Joe Burrow can easily drop 40. That means that Patrick Mahomes needs to at least do his job, get those 20 points. Saquon Barkley and Kenneth Walker versus Najee Harris and Ray Davis is big for the Stellar Bitches to at least limit the damage with the running backs. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Terry McLaurin versus Zay Flowers and Darnell Mooney is also key for both teams. Don't sleep on the Saints versus Cleveland defense battle. Those two teams play each other. And in the juiciest match of the week, we get a rivalry battle, one for the ages. Besides the Tripod Award being on the line again, currently Risky Business holds the award, we also get 2 7-3 teams. Remember the Titans in first in the American Void, and Risky Business just one game back in the Asia Pacific Void. Remember the Titans is home for this one in Chicago 1967, and they currently have a 63.5% chance to win. That might switch in favor of Risky Business after making the expected coaching moves. Brock Purdy versus Sam Darnold is an interesting area, but Jamar Gibbs versus Kyron Williams intrigues me more. Josh Jacobs is back from his bye, but currently on the bench for Risky Business. A.J. Brown versus Justin Jefferson is another key, but there are a few injured wide receivers on the bench too. That could be a problem with Jamar Chase on the other side, fresh off his 50-point monster performance. Don't sleep on the Rams versus Dolphins defense battle. It's crazy that we're getting to the final stretch here. The second round of divisional play is getting closer, and that is when we can say we are in the league's witching hour. But this week is also very important for several teams, especially all of us in the middle. No one wants to put their fate to the tiebreaker test. You just want to get in the playoffs and know you have control of your destiny. So we will see who the true playoff contenders are after this week when we see who played who and what needs to be done. So sit back, relax, and go crazy with every play. That's the show for the week. Hope you enjoyed it. Before you go, check out the latest standings. Until next time, salut.